Welcome into another episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I am Will Thomas, and this is going to be our first video of basketball coverage. I wasn't actually sure if I was going to cover the basketball season when I first started this. I thought it might just be, a bunch of college football. I'll touch on basketball. Then the second that college football ended, I realized that I really wanted to do it. Just screw it. Let's do college basketball because I love this sport. College basketball is probably, it's my second favorite sport behind college football, obviously. But, the entertainment of it, the pace of it, the electricity, it's just so incredible. So we'll just be going, week by week. I got a preview for all of the games on Saturday in this episode, and just throughout the weeks, we'll be recapping, previewing, same deal we did for the football season. But let's get straight into it. I'm just going to go chronologically for the games that are happening this weekend, starting off with Ole Miss at Kentucky. Now, obviously, I'm recording this on Thursday, so the lines aren't out yet. There are no spreads, so we're just going off of the stats, the numbers, and the matchup vibes. But Ole Miss is 11-8 overall and 3-3 in conference. Kentucky is 13-6 overall, 4-2 in conference. Now, Mark Pope and Kentucky, they had that underwhelming start to the year, right, where they lost some games they shouldn't have. They didn't look very good early on. They've started to get it going. They have 4 straight wins, including the win at Tennessee. They just beat Texas at home, and Lenardi currently has them as an 8 seed in the bracket. Now they get to host the worst scoring offense in the SEC in the Rebels, who are scoring 75.5 points per game. And Kentucky has the second best defense in the SEC numbers-wise, allowing just 70.7. So the Rebels, they probably have a slow day. And when you're looking at that, just can Kentucky get to 75 or 80 to where you feel pretty safe and pretty certain that Ole Miss can't quite get there? Because Kentucky is scoring 83 points per game, but the Rebels' defense, it has been pretty good, allowing just 71 per game. And for Kentucky, you have to adjust out of life without Cam Williams. Their guard broke his foot last week against Kentucky. He was only scoring 6.8 points per game, 2.6 rebounds per game for Kentucky. So it's not like you're losing Aberdeen or a starter, but you are losing a depth piece that you've been able to rely on for quality minutes. So it will be interesting to see what impact that has. But I don't think this is a bad situation for Kentucky, for their first game without Cam. How do we adapt to that hole on the bench? Well, you get a slow-scoring team at home. Right, that feels pretty good. So I don't really think Ole Miss can score to keep up with Kentucky in this one. I think the Wildcats get another win, improve to 5-2 in conference play. So give me Kentucky at home relatively comfortably. Moving on now, we got Georgia at Texas. The Dogs are 16-3 overall and 4-2 in conference. Texas is 11-8 overall, 2-4 in conference. Lenardi currently has Georgia as an 8 seed. Texas is one of the teams, the last 4 teams in. So this is a massive, massive spot for Texas and their tourney hopes. Georgia has the best offense in the SEC right now, numbers-wise. They're scoring 94.8 points per game. On the road in SEC play, they scored 77 versus Florida, 75 versus Carolina, and 74 versus Missouri. Mike White is still Mike White, right? Like, he might have some of these problems fixed. He's not good on the road. He was not good on the road with Florida, and he hasn't been with Georgia. His team's performance just doesn't carry over on the road. They don't look the same when they're away from their home stadium. And now you have to visit a Texas team who's coming off of 2 straight losses. They get to come back home versus a ranked team really kind of playing, I don't want to say for their tournament hopes yet, but if you win this game, you're going to keep yourself alive. A loss here is really detrimental. This is a trap. This is a massive trap game for Georgia. Texas has beaten Bama and Vandy already this year, right? So we know that they can do it. We know that they have the horses to beat these good teams, and I like Texas here. I like them a lot. Mike White on the road, it has never been good. It has never been something that you can trust. So I'm not going to trust it. I'm going to take Texas. I think the Longhorns get a big-time win at home against a ranked Bulldogs team. Oklahoma at Missouri. This one will be pretty quick. Oklahoma is 11-8 overall, 1-5 in conference. The Tigers are 13-6 overall, 3-3 in conference. They are next 4 out at the moment. This is not a game you can drop if you're Missouri. Right, the next 4 out. You've got to win your games, especially at home, but especially against bad teams. You're on the bubble. You get a home game against a bad squad. This is a loss that can keep you out of the tournament in March if you lose this game. So just lock in and take care of business here if you're Missouri. Then moving on to South Carolina, they go to Texas A&M. Carolina is 11-8 overall, 2-4 in conference. A&M is 15-4 overall, 5-1 in conference. They are tied for first in the SEC. But Lenardi has the Aggies as a 10 seed right now, one of the last 4 byes. To me, that tells you, given how good their record is, right, that they're top of the SEC, that the consensus is that that's probably a fake record. Right, if you have the team at the top of the SEC as a 10 seed, you probably don't believe they can keep doing it. Their wins have been against LSU, Auburn, Oklahoma, Texas, and Mississippi State. They lost that game in Tennessee, so they're clearly a solid team, but they're not really seen as a true threat in the league. but you're still getting South Carolina at home. I like the Aggies to win this game on Saturday, go to 6-1 overall in the SEC. And A&M, when they start to play a consistent slew of better teams, will get a real sense for them. I don't really know if I'm buying them yet. But when you have your easier games at home, you have to just stack those wins to keep improving your tournament resume. But more importantly, really avoid a blemish on your tournament resume, because that can really be what kills you in March. Next up here, the Auburn Tigers travel to Gainesville to play Florida. Auburn is 12-7 overall, 3-3 in conference. Florida is 14-5 and 5-1 in conference. The Gators are the best team in the SEC. Right, they had the slower start at the beginning of the year with close losses to Arizona, Duke, and UConn when their guards weren't playing good. But now they have 5 straight wins in conference play, including Tennessee, at Vandy, Georgia. The bigs are just so good. That front court is incredible for Todd Golden. Ruben Chinyelu is playing like a different player, and their guard play really is developing. You're seeing Boogie Flynn and Xavier Lee really get more comfortable. Urban Klabjar is starting to really find his stroke from deep. This team is really coming together. But for Auburn, they have won back-to-back games against South Carolina and at Ole Miss. But now, looking at this game, the rebounding battle is such a lean to Florida, like it is most of the time. Especially, that really has won them a bunch of games this year. It won them a bunch of games last year with the same core 4 in the paint. The Gators are rolling. You get a home game against a good Auburn team, but not a great Auburn team. I think Florida adds another win and goes to 6-1 in SEC play. Vandy goes to Mississippi State. The Commodores are 16-3 overall, 3-3 in conference, while Mississippi State is 10-9 overall, just 2-4 in conference. Now, Vandy has lost 3 straight games. They were undefeated 10 days ago. Now they can't really buy a win. It's another road game this weekend, and Lenardi had them as the 3 seed before the Arkansas loss this week. So that will obviously be adjusted next week. I don't think this Vandy team is fake. I don't. They're clearly not as good as we thought they were after they beat Bama, but this team isn't a total fraud to me. So I don't think that they fall off a cliff, right? I don't think that you just see them keep sputtering and end the conference play at a 500 pace. I think they're going to pick it back up. Now, you're on the road, but Mississippi State can still be a get-right spot, but in the same breath, State has lost 4 straight. You get to come home. This could also just be a get-up spot for the Bulldogs. I think that Vandy wins close. You're going to get a good effort out of Mississippi State, but I do think that the Commodores are able to get back in the win column this weekend. Maybe the most interesting game of the week is Tennessee at Bama. The Vols are 12-6 overall and 2-3 in conference. Bama is 13-5, 3-2 in conference. Obviously, the biggest storyline for this game is that Charles Bediako is coming back from the NBA, effectively, to play for Alabama. My thoughts on that can be a different video, but the question really is, how will he mesh back in, right? And how many minutes does he get, just having to come back in and quickly adapt back to playing at the college level? This game should rock, by the way. Stats-wise, each team has the exact same amount of rebounds per game, but Tennessee's margin is way better, and the margin is what matters most. Bama makes 5 more threes per game. Of course, they do also shoot a lot more threes per game, and Tennessee turns it over the most in the SEC, which really scares me when you're going on the road, but especially in a place like Bama that will be a really good environment. But Bama is just fine at forcing them. They're not like this, quick hands team who's taking the ball away every other possession. They're just fine, but can you rely on your crowd almost to get 3 more turnovers for you? Because I think that Bama really can. And the Tide is coming off of 2 road games, so you're finally back home. You get the primetime energy. And Tennessee has gone win-loss as a pattern in league play, with their last game being the home loss versus Kentucky. So if you believe in patterns, take Tennessee here. But Tennessee, this is a massive week for them. They were a 6 seed per Lenardi before the Kentucky loss. And now you're at Bama, and the next midweek you're at Georgia. So it's a big 2 games for Tennessee to really, stay in that upper half of the bracket. Don't even flirt with an 8 or a 9 seed projection at this point. And Bama is currently a 5 seed. They're obviously playing for a big-time home win, keep improving their stock there. I'm inclined to lean Bama with home court. I think this is going to be a really competitive game. It should be the best one to watch in the SEC, but give me Nate Oates and his guys at home to get this one done. And then finally, LSU travels to Arkansas. LSU is 13-6 overall, just 1-5 in conference, and Arkansas is 14-5, 4-2 in conference. LSU, despite being 1-5 in the SEC, they're still on the projection. They're one of the next 4 out right now for Joe Lenardi. That means that they need some big-time wins. Here's the chance for a big-time win on the road in Fayetteville against a good Arkansas team who's currently a 5 seed. So this game for Arkansas really sucks because it's a high-risk, no-reward game for them. No one really cares if they win. If they beat LSU, no one's really impressed by it. but you could easily lose to this team that Lunardi still does have respect for, and it's a massive loss for your resume. It's just a brutal hit to it. So LSU on the road, they've scored 73, 72, and 61. That's not good enough. It's just not good enough. So are you able to find some rhythm and push 80 on the road here against this Arkansas team who's only 12th in the SEC in points allowed? Their defense isn't that formidable. They're gettable. So can you get hot? Can you find some rhythm? And Arkansas is coming off of that absolute demolition of Vanderbilt at home. Is there a letdown factor here? Right? Because obviously looking forward to this week from last weekend, you're saying, all right, we got Vandy coming in, and then we just have to worry about LSU. You beat the hell out of Vandy. You feel really good about yourself. Everyone's telling you how pretty you are. Do you sleepwalk into this LSU game that you probably can't sleepwalk into? I don't think it should be that big of a factor because of the seeding implications I laid out earlier in this preview, but this game could be scary. I think Arkansas wins. I'm not going to say that LSU walks in here and pulls the upset, but I think it will be uncomfortable. I think LSU will keep it close. I don't know what the line is, but assuming it's north of like 7 or 8, I will probably take LSU to cover that. I think Arkansas wins, but this game could be a little uneasy for Hog fans in the building. But that'll do it. Those are all of the SEC games this weekend. As the basketball season keeps going, I will really, I'll keep upgrading my coverage. And as the transfer portal dies down for college football, I'll have more time to put into it. But thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I have been Will Thomas, and I will see you next time.